All right, so the anarcho-capitalists are still throwing out discussions out there. They did another video, questions for statists, and both Anarchy Ball and that guy T threw it up on their channels. Tyler Preston responded super quick, and it was a little bit funny because he's very libertarian. So although he had some questions or some answers for some of their questions, I'd say on at least half of them he just agreed with them because he leans strongly towards libertarianism. And I love Tyler Preston. He's one of my favorite YouTubers, but I don't feel like he answered the questions he didn't agree with as well as I see him normally answering questions. And that's fine. We all have bad days and stuff. But I kind of have some questions of my own, but I haven't really thought them through or formulated them very well. I've always been very non-political. But, you know, it's obvious to see when there's problems. And one of the frustrating things about life is that it's easier to point out what's wrong with something than it is to come up with a creative solution that works better. And so, like, some people are irritated by the fact that we have money and stuff, but if we all just bartered skills and talents and goods for skills and talents and goods, then it would be really challenging to make society work, because some people would have no interest in our goods and talents and skills, and yet we had actually taken the time to produce something of value. But if we didn't find a way to meet with the right people, it would be useless, and maybe all the people that needed it would be somewhere else. And I don't know, it's crazy. It's like maybe the people that had the specific services we needed wouldn't like those specific services. So like this guy making horseshoes loves that I'm a martial artist and wants to learn kung fu, so he's willing to trade, but I don't need horseshoes. But then the lady that's selling the bread, which I definitely need, has no interest in kung fu. And you can just see how there were limitations to that. And so it was good that like some kind of universal item of value was invented. And I think it started with gold, and then we invented money and stuff. And that way we had something that was valued by everybody, and then we could all spend time perfecting crafts, talents, products, and have something to offer the world. And in return, we'd get this universal thing that everyone valued, and then we could get all kinds of things. Like, it wouldn't matter if the piano woman liked what you were contributing to society because she valued the money that you got from your contribution. So I've never been able to come up with something better as an alternative to money. So you just have to deal with what it is, and then with the craziness of human nature and the way we interact with each other, and we have innate like tendencies towards greed and stuff and power, it always gets muddled up and crazy and messed up, no matter how good the beginning ideology is. And so as far as political stuff goes, I've always been real indifferent. I just, leave me alone, let me do my thing. Your government's pointless. It just seems like a bunch of nonsense that people argue over all the time. Doesn't affect my life. And yeah, you know, I hear the anarcho-capitalists talk about, and there's a lot of things they say that I like. I definitely want to be left alone as much as possible. I don't like the way you feel strong-armed. Like the way it's set up now, we got all these ridiculously complicated laws where we can't even go in and represent ourselves with, obviously we didn't do this, obviously this is wrong. No, we have to pay a lawyer a ridiculous amount of money because the legal system is no longer sensible. It's all like bureaucratic and crazy and has its own language. And the whole taxing, we are strong-armed, we are bullied against our will. And not only that, but they make this ridiculously complicated tax code, and instead of just like taking our money from our paychecks and leaving us alone and doing their thing, they make us file every year. They already have our money, but they still make us file. And they have this stupid, ridiculous tax code that you have to hire an accountant to do for you because it's too ridiculously complicated for a normal person to understand. And then they come up with these 10 million different things they can penalize you for, and then they can audit you and try to nail you for more money even after you've been producing all this time and given them money. I mean, it's so stupid. It's like they take money from your paycheck. They should be good. You shouldn't even have to file. So there's definitely a lot you can identify with the anarcho-capitalists. The world is set up very, very strange. You can see all these crazy faults they're talking about in the current setup. And I think a lot of these like people like Tyler Preston and stuff see all that stuff too, but their thing is they've never seen a successful model of an anarcho-capitalist thing set up. And it's easy to come up with ideas that seem to make sense, but when they don't work in practice, then what good are they? And we haven't seen a model work in practice, and maybe one's just never gotten a chance. I don't know what the deal is, but that's what I think the issue is really is these people are like, well, democracies so far seem to have proven themselves as the best of the options that we've tried, whereas this seems more like an idealistic fairy tale thing that's never worked in the real world. And then the anarcho-capitalists are like, no, this is better than democracy. It's a sound theory. We spent a lot of time researching it. It just hasn't had a chance to be thrown out in the real world yet and be tested. And I don't know how it would work out, but it's interesting seeing everybody talk about it because it gets you thinking. But the whole thing is, when would it ever get a chance? When would it even, where could it get a chance? Oh no, the world's crazy. It's set up crazy, but it's interesting seeing people bounce around ideas like this. So I've been enjoying it. And that's really all I wanted to say at the time, I guess, because like I said, I didn't prepare or spend the time looking into this like I should have. So just throwing out my impressions of the stuff I've seen so far, and hope that maybe some of you might get inspired to at least go watch these videos and maybe look into this more, and maybe slowly at least it can make us vote smarter or do whatever we got to do to try to make the future better for ourselves.